Good evening to you, and thank you for choosing Hope TV to update you on what is happening within Kenya and the world over. In our updates tonight, President Ruto speaks on Africa's visa restrictions, and the affordable housing project is on its way in Nakuru County. I hope your weekend is going well so far. You're tuned in to Weekend NewsWatch. My name is Joy Mochache. I'll be taking you through our news for the evening. Let's get started with President William Ruto has called on African leaders to accelerate the realization of the Continental Free Agreement. The president said the AfCFTA will increase intra-Africa trade, thereby creating jobs and wealth for the people. He noted that visa restrictions between African countries and tariffs are unnecessary hindrances to trade. Additionally, trade among the East African Community countries had increased due to the removal of visa requirements and tariffs. The head of state made his remarks during the summit of the three basins on biodiversity ecosystems and tropical forests in Brazzaville, the Republic of Congo.
We have visa regulations left, right, and center. 27 countries in Europe today, with 430 million people, removed visas. We still have visas. Let me persuade us that it is time we in this continent realize that having visa restrictions amongst ourselves is working against us. When people cannot travel, business people cannot travel, entrepreneurs cannot travel, we all become net losers.
Moving on, Lands, Housing and Urban Development Cabinet Secretary Alice Wahome has said the construction of 38,000 units is already underway, adding that in 6 months, construction of 62,000 more will have taken off. Speaking in Ruiru town while inspecting the ongoing construction of 1,050 units at King's Boma Estate, the CS noted that Kenyans will, by early next year, start settling into decent, affordable homes. Wahome pointed out that some 605 units that are being put up in Nakuru County will be ready for occupation starting December this year, noting that the units are in the final stages of completion. CS Wahome added that they are hoping to access the housing levy that was introduced by the Kenya Kwanza government to fast-track implementation of the affordable housing project across the country.
We are now looking at maybe up to 38,000 units that have started. So we expect that within the next 6 months, we'll be looking at possibly about 100,000 units taking off. This team is completing 605 units in Nakuru, fully completed. They are in the final touches, In our larger housing agenda is that we would want to build at least 200,000 houses per year. That is the kind of demand that we have at the moment. The mortgages going on and the construction of, combined community units like this is about, the mortgage levels are about 30,000. And therefore, with the 200,000 is a demand that we feel we must meet. Every constituency is scheduled to come up with at least provide land for at least a minimum per constituency of 200 units. If you can do 1,000, if you have land and space, and we are using, of course, available government land, and there is a lot of available government land.
Moving on, Agriculture Cabinet Secretary Mithika Linturi has assured coffee farmers that the market of coffee is returning to normalcy after the pause induced by the cancellation of some traders' licenses after the government branded them cartels. Linturi stated that farmers can now be able to offload the huge stocks of parchment coffee as he addressed farmers during a field day organized by the Agriculture and Food Authority. He further urged farmers to adopt modern technology in agriculture, which he said will help to counter the negative effects of climate change and ensure higher yields from reducing parcels of agricultural land. He urged farmers to adopt available genetically modified seeds, saying they held the answer to reducing yields occasioned by land fragmentation.
Government has put 4 billion shillings. Hiyo 4 billion, wewe ukienda upime pesa kahawa yako kwa cooperative, badala ile 20 shillings, sasa unalipa na 80 shillings, shilingi 80 as you wait for coffee to be sold. Pesa imewekwa huko bilioni 10 ile tunataka kupitishia through AFC, ili wewe mkulima unasema kuna shida ya pesa, unaweza kopa pesa uendelee na kilimo chako, because we really have to support production. Na kwa hivyo wewe anza kujipanga, sababu utalaumu mtu. Hapana, serikali inafanya what it can.
Sisi tulichukua loan ya about 99 million. Is it 99 million? 90 million. About how many years ago was that? 2014. Sasa imezaa iko 174 million. Mimi nataka waziri nishike mkono twende tuone mkubwa wetu akubali kuwaive hiyo loan. Hiyo tu. Kutoka hapo ile kazi tutafanya hata wewe utafurahi. Ile county aggregation industrial park tunajenga Mashanga. Tunaangalia kufanya value addition ya avocado, tunafanya value addition ya macadamia, tunafanya value addition ya muguka, ya mango, ya honey. So anything that can help us in production is most welcome.
As schools close for the long December holiday, parents in Embu have been warned against taking their girls through the outlawed female genital mutilation. The practice is usually carried out during school holidays, where families send their teenage daughters to neighboring counties for the cut, in the pretext of going for normal relative visits. Led by Deputy Governor Kinyo Amugo, the leaders issued a stern warning to perpetrators that legal action will be taken against them. He called for support from members of the public by reporting such incidents to the authorities to bring the notorious practice to an end, saying the community bears the biggest responsibility in the fight. Speaking on Thursday during the graduation ceremony of over 800 ECDE learners who are transiting to grade 1 in Gashoka, Mbeere South Sub-County, Mugo emphasized that the practice was robbing the victims of their dignity and future career dreams, as many are forced to drop out of school out of shame.
Kuna sheria tumepitisha pale bunge. Na hiyo ni sheria ya mambo ya FGM, tumepitisha sheria ya mambo ya gender based violences. Barasi na kume shiri, tumepitisha sheria mambo ya kunyanyasa watoto wadogo, kupeleka watoto mahali wanapelekanga kwa shule wakafanya ili wanafanya wasichana. Tumepitisha na tukasema ukishikwa ukifanya hiyo hapa Embu County, hautafungiwa hapa, utafungiwa mbali mahali watu wako watakuja kuona kule Simolapewa.
Tuko na habari na si habari, lakini maneno yamekuwa ikiendelea. Hii maneno ya FGM ama ile ya sijui na Kiswahili inakuwa namna gani, lakini FGM ni ile maneno ya ukeketaji ya wasichana wetu imekuwa ikifanyika kisiri hapa Embu kwetu, Mbeere, hata pandia kwetu Manyata, Runyenjes. Kuna watu bado wanaamini katika hiyo utamaduni, na ni utamaduni ambao imepitwa na wakati. Kwa hivyo nataka kutangaza nikiwa hapa, kama vile mheshimiwa asemesema, tutapigana na mtu yoyote ambaye atajaribu kitendo hiyo ya kuharibu wasichana wetu, kwa sababu huyu msema wakati unamharibu unaharibu vitu vingi katika maisha yake, katika mwili yake, ambayo inamdhuru hata wakati mwingine wakati yako mtu mzima. Kwa hivyo hiyo maana nasema tupigane nayo. Jambo la pili nimezungumzia maneno ya ajira ya watoto. Sheria, the Labor Act is very clear. Sheria ile ya wafanyikazi imekataza katakata uajiri ya watoto. Kwa hivyo mtu ambaye anaajiria mtu katika shamba ya miraa ama katika biashara yoyote, ama kama ni kwa shamba, ujue unaenda kinyume ya sheria. na unaweza kushikwa na ustakiwe na upelekwe jela kwa sababu ya kuajiri vijana ambao hawajatimiza ile miaka ya kuwa watu wazima. Na hiyo kitu inafanyika sana hapa na pia sehemu zingine za Embu County. Kwa hivyo maneno tunafuatilia. Msikubali watoto wafanye kazi. Wacha mtoto mtoto kama ni shule wacha asome.
The absence of National Police reservists in hotspot areas of West Pokot County continue to stress leaders and residents who feel they have been exposed to dangers and attacks from their neighbors, thus increasing banditry and castle-rustling activities in the area. This comes as rampant attacks and killings continue to be reported along the West Pokot and Turkana border point. Area leaders have castigated Interior Cabinet Secretary Professor Kithure Kindiki of not being sincere in fulfilling his promises. Speaking at Sigor, the leaders faulted the government over open biases and discrimination, saying their neighbors are being favored by arming them.
Je, Mungu leo akitembea na bunduki atalala kwake? Hapana, si nitakamatwa. Sasa mbona kuna mwenzetu ambaye anatembea na bunduki kama chumba yake na serikali inaona, sijui nafikiri wanafinya jicho moja ili macho yote mawili yasione, kwa sababu sasa yeye anajionyesha ni above the law. Mtu mwingine yeyote hana ruhusa, lakini gavana wa Turkana ni above the law, anapeleka bunduki vile anataka. Swali langu sasa ni je, anawaambia nini wa Turkana? Sasa anawaambia wapeleke hivyo? Sasa anawaambia wasunguke hivyo? Sasa tunaongea amani, tunaongea usalama wa wananchi, tunaongea umoja. Tutakuwa wamoja namna gani kama kuna gavana ambaye ni wild as wild kama huyu ambaye ni gavana wa Turkana?
Kwa gazetted na tayari tuliketi na tumetuma hiyo report, lakini iko wakati ofisi yake iliniuliza, mheshimiwa waziri anataka kuja huko. Kati ya zile ofisi 7 ya divisions, gani imejengwa iko nyuma ya dio na gani iko na nyuma ya dio na ofisi? Nataka nikwambie, nilisema sijaona ile imejengwa. Basi akasema ataangalia kama anaweza kuja, lakini nilipouliza ofisi yake nilikuja kupata kujua ya kwamba alisema ongea na viongozi waweze kujengea dio nyumba na ofisi, alafu atakuja kuzindua.
Kama sisi si wa Kenya kama wengine, na kama sisi hatuna haki ya kunufaika kutokana na hii serikali ambayo ni yetu kwa kupewa NPR kama wengine, tuambiwe. And that is not demanding too much, because hata wakati mmoja tulikuwa DOD tukaelezwa na wale KDF wakati ya presentation kwamba challenge moja wako naye ni kwamba wale wengine wote wamepewa NPR, lakini Pokot ya Tiaty na Pokot ya West Pokot hawajapewa. Kwa nini?
At this point, we're going to take a breather. We'll be right back with the rest of our stories. Don't go too far. You're watching NewsWatch on Hope TV.
In order to keep hope alive in the airwaves, Hope Media has a couple of initiatives. Friends of Hope. Friends of Hope is you and I forming a team of well-wishers and volunteers who give in cash and kind to support in spreading the gospel at Hope Media. Currently, Hope Media is running a campaign under Friends of Hope dubbed 100 for 1. Through the campaign, Hope Media is asking Hope FM and Hope TV listeners and viewers to give just 100 shillings in order to reach one more soul with the message of hope and the gospel. Engage with us on our social media platforms at Hope FM Live and at Hope TV Kenya. Kuwa rafiki mso leo.
Welcome back. You're watching Weekend News Watch with me, Joy Mochache. Engage with me on Facebook at Hope TV Kenya. On Instagram and Twitter, find us at HopeTV_KE. Let us know what you think of our news bulletin and any other thoughts you'd like to share on the same. As we move on, the county government has been urged to shift focus to domestic tourism to boost the economy through local tourist destinations. This follows President William Ruto's directive to equally divide national parks revenue by 50% between KWS and county governments. Speaking during the Taita Taveta Tourism Master Plan approval meeting in Mochache, Domestic Tourism Association Chairman Livingstone Mugenyi emphasized the need of identifying and mapping of tourism attraction sites. The proposal was well received by Taita Taveta Ministry of Tourism, which said the master plan document will shape the future of the tourism industry by providing a framework.
Na furaha yetu ni kwa sababu sasa tushapata hiyo document na kuna vitengo vingine hapo ndani vina kutusaidia. Kwa sababu tukiwa na Taita Taveta County Tourism Board, alafu tuwe na Taita Taveta Tourism Information Center, alafu hizo vipengele viko hapo ndani tuweze kuvitekeleza, ili board itakuwa inafanya kazi vizuri.
Looking forward into exploring those untapped tourist attractions. Of course, we know Taita Taveta has been known for the game drives, the safari, but now we want to move away from that. Because we have other tourist attractions, like I've said, like we have the agri-tourism, we have the sports tourism, we have the geo-tourism, and many others.
The spouse of the Deputy President, Pastor Dorcas Rigathi, has taken her boy child campaign to Kenyans living in Munich, Germany. Speaking during an interactive session yesterday evening, Pastor Dorcas shared her vision for the boy child, among other vulnerable populations, with Kenyans in Germany, urging them to always put families first. She urged parents to create more time with their children, regardless of their busy schedules. Let's look at what's happening outside of Kenya. Israeli Defense Forces earlier today released airstrikes on northern Gaza Strip as the IDF military expands its ground operations after intensifying its bombardment of the Palestinian territory. This comes 3 weeks after the deadliest attack in the country's history. Israeli sources say its ground troops are fighting inside Gaza as it subjects the besieged territory to the heaviest bombardment since the war began. Hamas says its fighters have confronted Israeli troops in various locations. International media and aid agencies have said they lost contact with staff in Gaza amid a near-total communications blackout. At least 7,703 Palestinians have been killed in Israeli attacks since October the 7th, and more than 1,400 people were killed in the Hamas attack on Israel. And in sports, Brian Mboemo and Ethan Pinnock were on target as Brentford won 2-0 at Chelsea to triumph at Stamford Bridge for historic third season in a row and end the Blues' recent revival. Mauricio Pochettino's home side had been dominated by the first 45 and carved out a series of good openings, but could not find the breakthrough, with Noni Madueke closing closest with a shot that came back off the frame of the goal. The result means Brentford leapfrog above Chelsea into 10th place on the 13 points ahead of the rest of the weekend's action. The Blues are 1 point further back in 11th.
And when you score, always is after the second half. I think it was difficult because we conceded, I think, the first chances that we conceded, and then it was tough because it was difficult to break down the defensive block.
Thank you so much for tuning in to our Weekend News Watch. My name is Joy Mochache. I wish you a blessed night ahead from us here at Hope TV.